Welcome. We have undisputable scientific proof that chemtrails, alien moon bases, the US military-industrial complex, subterranean reptilian overlords, and the disappearance of Harold Holt, Australia's 17th Prime Minister, are all connected. Chemtrails. Where do they come from, and where are they going? These questions and many more will be answered about these condensation trails. Everybody knows that the government is working with the aliens to terraform our planet by changing the atmosphere to suit them for their own clandestine purpose. This is to take over our planet and enslave us. Just look at this proof. Who are these aliens, and what do they want? This question remains unanswered. These alien entities travelled to this planet 250 million years ago on their spaceship that we call the Moon. Strategically positioning the Moon just close enough that one side would always face away, these extraterrestrial biological entities constructed their ship to be just the right size to perfectly block our precious sunlight for small periods of time via solar eclipses. This was done in order to change life on this planet. The Moon eclipsing the Sun caused the third and largest extinction event, the Permian Triassic. This eventually led way to Homo sapiens evolving. This was their plan all along, so that may one day enslave us. Just recently, they began to build houses and underground cities on the Moon. After they hollowed the Moon out, they turned it into a giant hologram of itself, and that is what we see when we look up at the sky, but mainly when we look at the Moon. A close-up of this crater shows a location of where they initially landed on the Moon. But what do these beings want, and what do they look like? A high-up government official that works at Dreamland, which was once called Area 51, and before that Edwards Air Force Base, and before that the Ranch, has come forward to answer some pertinent questions relating to the aliens. Out of fear of his life for coming forward with this information, he has decided to remain anonymous. Thank you for coming forward and speaking to us today. Have you ever seen one of these extraterrestrial biological entities?
Yes.
Could you tell us what they look like?
Yes.
Could you describe them?
These aliens from a distant planet. In fact, they inhabit two planets. They look and move exactly like a turtle, except without the shell. And their skin is a lot smoother. And not green either, more grey. They also were quite a bit taller than a turtle. Oh, and they weren't biological, more like living robots.
Did the US government, or more specifically, the US military-industrial complex of the USA of America, work with these biological entities, and in what capacity?
It's quite technical, but to put it in layman's terms, we work directly with them to service their ships.
You mean the UFOs we all see flying around?
Yes, there was a whole secret section of the US military. Our role was to clean their ships whenever they requested.
Did you ever see inside one of the UFOs?
Oh, hell no. Nobody did.
You mentioned earlier that they inhabited 2 planets. Do you know where they are located?
I did have a chance to ask one this very question myself.
You communicated to one of these ET biological entities and asked where they came from?
Yes.
Could you tell us where?
Well, I asked him, but his mobile phone rang. He answered.
Fortunately, the question of where these extraterrestrial biological entities came from has been answered. The information regarding these extraterrestrial biological entities' origins came from an unlikely source. The 17th Prime Minister of Australia, Harold Holt, went missing on the 22nd of December 1967 at Cheviot Beach near Portsea, Victoria in Australia. He actually left with the extraterrestrial biological entities on a one-way trip to their home planets, never to return. He knew about the extraterrestrial biological entities and was introduced to them by the US military-industrial complex of the USA of America. He got on really well with them and was invited to live with them on their home planet or planets. So he planned a situation to leave without anybody finding out. On the morning of the 22nd of December 1967, he went for a swim. He was then picked up by a UFO, or underwater flying object. A UFO. He tells us all about his trip to the extraterrestrial biological entities' planets via the moon in his best-selling autobiography, I'm Leaving and Never Coming Back. He says in his book that he chose the 22nd of December because he loved Christmas and wanted to see how they celebrated it. He was especially looking forward to the many Christmas gifts that he thought he would receive. He goes on to explain in great detail these extraterrestrial biological entities and their home planets, and many more things. Since going missing on December 22nd, 1967, he has not been seen or heard from since, including any sort of correspondence. All of these conspiracies have now been scientifically proven. It has been labelled the Conspiracies conspiracy. During the course of making this documentary, I have become severely ill. I suspect the government has poisoned me with dihydrogen oxide.
Uh-oh. Don't you dare eat it. No. No, Baxter. No. Oh, no.